everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
It's our literature unit, and we've got an interesting book for you that we're talking about. Day 1, we spent talking about the plot of the 10 Best Days of Life. And today we're going to spend more time talking about the author and some of her messages that maybe she wanted to communicate, at least the messages that we saw as we were going through this book. The author's name is Adina Halpern, and she is writing about a young girl who's 29. I consider that to still be young, who is suddenly killed. She passes away after being hit by a tiny car, and then finds out that she's first placed in seventh heaven, which is supposed to be the highest level of heaven, according to this book's interpretation, and then has to justify or defend what she did on earth to stay in that highest degree of heaven. So we're going to talk more about what that's like. I think this sounds like a very interesting book. What do you think about all of this, Tom?
Sounds interesting, and of course it can probably inspire people to talk about the concept of life after death. Where are you going to go when you die? Are you going to go to heaven or hell? Are you going to reincarnate or whatever? But in this particular case, the main character of this novel, Alexandra, she has gone to heaven, and she's at the gates of heaven, and they've asked her to maybe write an essay about the 10 best days of her life. So let's find out all about this book. Let's talk some more about the plot and what it actually means. Let's listen to today's article read now in its entirety.
Adina Halpern's The 10 Best Days of My Life focuses on Alexandra's quest to justify her eternal stay in seventh heaven. Through this simple premise, Halpern explores profound questions about what truly gives life meaning and worth. Initially, seventh heaven appears through Alexandra's eyes as a realm of endless designer clothes, calorie-free foods, and perfect romance. This vision of the afterlife reflects her privileged background as a spoiled rich girl, accustomed to luxury and superficial pleasures. By portraying Alexandra's character this way, Halpern illustrates how many young people associate happiness with material success and prompts readers to question these beliefs. As the plot progresses, Alexandra, tasked with proving her worth to stay in seventh heaven, must reassess her priorities. In the beginning, she believes she is a failure with no real achievements. Over time, she discovers her most significant experiences involved love, family, and personal growth. Each memory, from adopting her dog to the final night with her grandparents, reveals aspects of her personality once overshadowed by her materialistic lifestyle. Moreover, she acknowledges that her career in fashion brought her confidence, self-worth, and more accomplishments than she had imagined. Her inner journey demonstrates that not all days are life-changing or perfect, yet those meaningful moments add value to a person's life. Ultimately, Alexandra no longer yearns to stay in seventh heaven as she did before. Instead, she recognizes that the love she holds remains unchanged, regardless of her location. This heartwarming story encourages readers to find the best in themselves and cherish the simple, loving moments of life.
Welcome back, everybody. We're now going to continue talking about the 10 best days of my life. I must say that when we were preparing for our lesson, the title here, The 10 Best Days of My Life, reminded me of an old movie title, an old movie that I haven't seen that I'd really like to see, called The Best Years of Our Lives. That was a movie that came out way back in 1946. It's a Hollywood movie. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't think it has anything to do with heaven. It has to do with life after being in war and stuff like that. But I digress. We're actually talking about the 10 best days of my life. And that's a book by Adina Halpern. And this book focuses on Alexandra's quest to justify her eternal stay in seventh heaven. Now, if you want to justify something, you need to provide proof that something is the case, okay? You need to justify your actions, okay? If you've done something that other people don't like, well, you need to justify your actions. Well, I did that because. Yeah, I know some people were hurt, but in the end, more people will benefit. So yes, you need to justify your actions.
You could also use the word defend your actions, explain them, rationalize. Rationalize would be a bit more negative in tone because rationalize, if I hear that sometimes, I sometimes think someone's done something that isn't correct or right. So they're trying to give you excuses or reasons why they did something. But yeah, to justify something is to show or prove that something you did, said, something is right, it's reasonable, it's okay. So she's asked to justify her eternal stay in seventh heaven, to stay there forever. Through this simple premise, Halpern explores profound questions about what truly gives life meaning and worth or value. So I thought this was a really interesting premise. I said that in day one. Premise is just, it's a statement, it's an idea that forms the basis, the foundation for an argument or theory that you might have or someone has. So she's using this simple idea to then explore profound questions. Something is profound if it's very meaningful, has a lot of significance, and I think some of these questions about life truly are profound.
Yep, that's the premise. You go to heaven and you need to justify your life in order to be let into heaven, or at least be able to go to seventh heaven as opposed to fourth heaven, where again she'll be in a crummy old apartment and she won't be able to see her family, her dog, and her new boyfriend. So that would be punishment for not justifying her place in seventh heaven. Now here in the next paragraph it says, initially, or at the beginning, seventh heaven appears through Alexandra's eyes as a realm of endless designer clothes, calorie-free foods, and perfect romance. Okay, so at the beginning, maybe she wasn't really religious in life, but now she's found out, oh, there really is a heaven. So yeah, what do I see now that I can see heaven? Well, it seems like a really great place. There are endless designer clothes. I can have as many designer clothes as I want. I can eat as much food as I want because all of the foods are calorie-free. They don't have any calories. I won't get fat if I eat cherry pie or apple pie or lots of candy bars or whatever. I can eat whatever I want, although I don't think she'd be eating those things because she wants exquisite food. And also there's going to be perfect romance. She'll be able to spend her days with that handsome fella that she met the first day she got there.
Right. I wanted to mention quickly, realm is a word that just means an area of knowledge or maybe an area of interest or activity. We use it a lot when we talk about people who are teachers, for example. Maybe you're an expert in the realm of science fiction literature and you teach literature in school. So yeah, it's very interesting that initially or at first, seventh heaven seems pretty darn great, right? With all of these wonderful things that Tom mentioned. Now, this vision of the afterlife just means life after death, reflects her privileged background as a spoiled rich girl. So we discover here that she is a rich girl who was spoiled, had everything that she really wanted. And that included luxury items, superficial pleasures. Superficial means only something that's concerned with what appears on, at first glance or on the layer. It's nothing deep. It's nothing meaningful. Superficial. Sometimes doctors will use it to say, oh, you have a superficial wound. Maybe you fell down and scraped your knee. That's a superficial wound. It's not like somebody, cut you deep and you have to have stitches. Superficial or things just on the surface. If you're accustomed to something, you're used to it. It's something that you're familiar with, you're comfortable with it. And she had become accustomed to luxury items and wonderful superficial pleasures. Privilege just means someone who has special advantages that most people don't have, or they have benefits that most people don't have access to. Maybe you're described as being very fortunate. I have a very fortunate upbringing. I had great parents, and I went to good schools, and I feel very, very blessed for those things. You could say someone's privileged. You could say someone's blessed as well, especially if they acknowledge God in the process.
Right, and she was a spoiled rich girl, which means she was spoiled. Her parents were rich and she got everything she wanted. She never probably had to work at a gas station or 7-Eleven or anything like that. So she was used to luxury and superficial pleasures. She was accustomed to those things.
Yeah.
And by portraying Alexandra's character this way, Halpern illustrates how many young people associate happiness with material success and prompts readers to question these beliefs. Okay, so yes, we are portraying Alexandra in this particular way, that she's a spoiled rich girl. She can get anything she wants. She's used to luxury. She can get those designer clothes. She can have exquisite food. She doesn't have to worry about getting fat. So yes, indeed, this kind of shows us or tells us about many young people these days. They associate happiness with material success. So associate means to match something with something else. When you think of one thing, you think of another thing. So basically, a lot of people believe that I can only be happy if I have material success. I can only be happy if I make a whole bunch of money and can buy really expensive things. That might be how many young people feel these days. Although I understand that a lot of young people aren't necessarily interested in having expensive things. They want experiences. They want to travel and do things like that more than just owning expensive things.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of articles lately in magazines and online about if you have extra money, don't buy things. Instead, treat yourself to experiences because they produce memories that last a lifetime. I've seen that. That's pretty popular. To associate with something or someone just means to link them together, to connect them. I often associate the smell of bread with my mom because I don't bake bread myself, but my mom would bake some bread. She'd make cinnamon rolls, especially for special occasions. So when I have that smell, or I smell that particular scent, I always think of my mom. So you can associate or link different things with something else. I associate peanut butter with jelly. Because when I was growing up, we'd have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So we use that quite a bit. And I agree with Tom, young people today don't necessarily associate happiness with lots of money and fancy cars and expensive clothes. But I know some still do. My sister changed a lot. When we were growing up, she would always want those designer brands, those labels. I didn't care what the label was on my clothes. I just wanted cute clothes.
I'm happy with night market clothes.
There you go. But she's changed now that she has kids and, she values different things. So sometimes you can start out with this mindset and then as you gain more experience and become more mature, maybe that changes as well. Right now, we're going to probably take a break here. Listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to continue on talking about some of the meaning in this particular book called The 10 Best Days of My Life. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone, 我是 Patrick 老师，今天讲解的是6月11号 Finding Life's True Meaning in the 10 Best Days of My Life. 这是这个单元第2天的课文内容。好，那我们延续前一天的课文，第1天已经介绍了故事的情节。课文呢，在今天告诉大家，小说到底想带给读者的是什么？透过主角检视自己过往的人生，读者也可以自我省思，看看自己如何看待自己生命的价值，是否也用物质、名声这些成就来论断自己。好，我们一起来看学习重点吧。请看到第1段的第1个句子，这里讲到这个作者 Adina Halpern。他这本书是聚焦在 Alexandra， 那就是这个女主角的名字。Her quest to justify her eternal stay in seventh heaven， 她所处的这一个天堂是7重天，她必须要去证明。这 justify 等于呢，就是要找出证据去说明 justify her eternal stay。这个 eternal 其实就等于呢 permanent。Permanent， 他到底为什么有资格可以呢永久的留在7重天？那再来第2个句子，请同学看到 through this simple premise. Premise 就是前提。好，那作者到底是想要探讨什么呢？其实他想要探讨的是 what truly gives life meaning and worth. 到底人生的意义还有价值从何而来？那再来，我们就看到第二段了。好，那这边看到第二段的第二个句子。好，这里呢，我们可以多了解一点这个女主角到底是一个什么样子的人哦。The vision of the afterlife， 那指的当然就是天堂了。Reflects her privileged background as a spoiled rich girl。原来女主角呢，在生前其实是娇生惯养的富家女。那后面呢，这个 accustomed to 等于是在补充说明，进一步的说明她到底怎么样娇生惯养。She was accustomed to luxury and superficial pleasures。原来啊，她很习惯于就是各式各样都用这个精品，而且呢，她就是喜欢这些比较表层肤浅的乐趣。好，那我们看到第三个句子，请同学注意的是 portraying by portraying 这一个动词 portray 就是去描述。那后面请看到主要子句的部分 happen， 那就是我们这本小说的作者他想要进一步的去说明年轻人他所观察到的年轻人到底怎么定义成功快乐的。他们通常都会觉得说快乐就是物质的成功。They associate happiness with material success。 那等于呢，就是年轻人把物质成功跟快乐连结在一起。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for that concise explanation, Chinese teacher. Let's continue with our lesson. Now, we're talking about the plot of our lesson today, of our story, rather, our novel.
Yeah.
And the plot, of course, is just the main events in a story. So the plot progresses. It continues forward. Alexandra is tasked with proving her worth to stay in seventh heaven, and she must reassess her priorities. So remember, she had to prepare some kind of term paper or something like that, a dissertation, if you will, about her life. She needs to present this information to the celestial judges at the gates of heaven, and she needs to tell them about the best 10 days of her life. Yes, she is tasked with this task. Okay, she's supposed to do this. She's supposed to prove her worth in order to stay in seventh heaven. Who would not want to stay in seventh heaven with your family around you, your pet dog, your boyfriend, a great house, stuff like that? So she's got to reassess her priorities. Now, your priorities are the things in life that you find most important. Okay, a lot of people have different kinds of priorities. Some people might prioritize happiness, religious fulfillment, traveling a lot, being a good person, and things like that. Others might think, well, it's more important to have, expensive things, a nice car, a nice house, and stuff like that to be successful, to have a lot of prestige and things like that. So yes, indeed, she needs to look back and decide, what were the most important things in my life? And again, what were the most important days?
I loved how Tom used both the noun and the verb. Priorities is, of course, the noun form in plural form, but if you're going to use it as a verb, you're going to prioritize. We actually do say the t on there, prioritize. It's really important if you're going to use your time wisely while you're on this earth to make sure that your main focus is on the most important things, right? That's your focus, your main concern, your priorities, something that's important or urgent, more so than other things. For a lot of our students out there, of course, their priority in the evening is to finish their homework. So they're going to prioritize their homework over playing video games. Hopefully, you're prioritizing your homework over video games or TV shows. I know when I was growing up, it was TV, but nowadays people typically pick up that darn phone and are always on their phones. So you want to prioritize things that are important to you. But before you do that, you've got to figure out what is important to you.
Right, so she's reassessing her priorities. She's assessing them again. She's analyzing them. She's trying to figure out exactly what her priorities in life were. And in the beginning, she believes she is a failure with no real achievements. Okay, it's easy to feel this way, especially when we compare ourselves with other people. Boy, they're so successful. I'm such a loser. I'm such a failure. So that's what she believes. She didn't really accomplish anything. She was just a spoiled rich girl. She had lots of things, but did she actually do anything to help other people? Did she help out with the human condition? Did she make her contribution to society or whatever? Nah, I was just spoiled. I stayed home. I had these expensive things. So yeah, she realizes this, or at least she believes it. And over time, she discovers her most significant experiences involved love, family, and personal growth. So she thought about it a little bit. She reflected on her life and thought, yeah, I've had those wonderful things. I had that really nice lifestyle. But actually, the things that are more meaningful were the relationships I had with other people. Those were the most important things.
That's right. So you can see here for her that those significant or important experiences included love, family, personal growth, her maybe picking up new skills and working on her talents, also learning to be nicer to people and more considerate. All of those things were important. Each memory, and here's a range of things from adopting her dog, that was a very significant time for her, to, and this is another experience, to a final night with her grandparents. Being around them before she lost them reveals aspects of her personality and that were once overshadowed by her materialistic lifestyle. When you think about aspects of something, it just means parts of something, a particular part or a feature of something, a facet of something. You could have said facet as well, reveals facets of her personality. Maybe somebody is very outgoing. Maybe they're very courageous. Maybe they're very sincere when they talk to people, and maybe they're very loving or kind. Those are different aspects or facets of someone's personality. And those particular memories maybe were once overshadowed by her materialistic lifestyle. So the way she lived focused more or seemed to focus more on expensive things, luxury items, not having to work for things, always having what she wanted without having to work for them. To be overshadowed means to be less important or less noticeable than something else. Maybe they were eclipsed by or outshone or dwarfed by her focus on materialism. Materialism is that feeling that the superficial things of life are more important than those things that are just priceless, which is love, family, and being good to those around you. Those are priceless things, and they actually are priceless because they don't cost anything except that person's willingness to show love and to be kind to those around them.
Right, and we should mention that wanting to be rich isn't a bad thing. Of course, if you're rich, you can, stimulate the economy.
You can help other people, right?
People and stuff like that. So I don't want to make it sound like we don't like rich people here.
Money is not bad. It's how it's used.
Exactly. So again, she does think that her life was meaningful because she adopted her dog maybe from a shelter or something like that. Instead of buying one at a pet store that cost 50,000 NT dollars or something like that. And yes, indeed, she has some personality traits that were overshadowed by her materialism or her materialistic lifestyle. She didn't just love those designer clothes. She actually had a nice side of her personality. And moreover, in addition, she acknowledges that her career in fashion brought her confidence, self-worth, and more accomplishments than she had imagined. So yes, indeed, if you look back on your life, you might think, hey, it's not so bad after all. I'm not such a big loser for spending all my parents' money or taking my holidays on the French Riviera or places like that. I actually did some pretty cool things in life. I've got lots of confidence and I have self-worth. I believe that I'm a valuable person. I'm not a loser. And she actually did a lot of things that she thought she hadn't done.
For example, she acknowledges that her fashion career brought her some wonderful things like confidence. Self-confidence is very important to accomplishing your goals, right? Self-worth, feeling that you're a valuable person, and more accomplishments than she had imagined that she'd actually sat down and thought about. So those were good things for her. A lot of people think fashion is just a waste of time, a waste of life, but there are people that are really gifted actually in fashion and design, and they bring a lot of joy to people. Let's not forget that. There are rotten people in the fashion industry, just as there are rotten people in charitable organizations sometimes. So you have to look at the person and not just put everybody in a general basket and condemn them all. I think that's important. Her inner journey, going back and reflecting upon her life, demonstrates that not all days are life-changing or perfect. All of us have really bad days when we're not at our best and we're not thinking of others. Maybe we're too selfish or we lose our temper. Those are our bad days, but we're not all perfect. We all make mistakes. But there are meaningful moments that add value to every person's life. I think that's important too.
Yeah, I would say the moments there is the key word because you can't say the whole day was good and then the whole day was bad.
Right.
There are incidents within the day, some good, some bad. So maybe she's looking back at those meaningful moments. They add value to a person's life. And ultimately, in the end, Alexandra no longer yearns to stay in seventh heaven as she did before. So ultimately, in the end, after a long process of self-reflection, she thought, seventh heaven would be cool, but well, if I'm not there, it's not so bad either. So she's not really yearning for seventh heaven. If you yearn for something, of course, you really want that thing. Oh, I yearn to go back to my home country. I've been outside the country for so long. I really want to go back and see my friends and family. I yearn to go back. And yes, indeed, she's not yearning for it. I think she still wants to go there, but not as much as she did before.
That's right. So instead, she recognizes that the love she holds remains unchanged, regardless of her location. It doesn't matter where she is. It's the love inside her that is always there. So regardless of is one of our vocabulary words or phrases here. It just means without being affected by anything else. You could also substitute it with the word despite, right? Despite or in spite of her location, despite her location. Sometimes those words need a preposition like regardless of something. Despite something does not require a preposition. So this heartwarming story encourages readers to find the best in themselves and cherish, really appreciate the simple, loving moments of life. If it's heartwarming, it makes you feel very happy and emotional in a very good way. It kind of warms you up from inside because I think we feel love when we have that heartwarming feeling.
Right. There are lots of examples of heartwarming stories. You probably see them on the internet all the time. And yes, indeed, she has made a journey of self-discovery, and that's what makes a good novel when people change in the novel. And in the end, of course, they come to some new conclusions, and maybe there will be a sequel to this novel in the future. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes, once again, our Chinese teacher.
我们接着看第三段第一个句子 As the plot progresses 情节持续的发展那 progress 是向前啊这里当然就指了情节继续发展的时候我们的这位女主角 Alexandra 怎么了好 Who is tasked with 那当然 Who is 省略掉了她被赋予这一项工作 tasked with 什么样的工作就是证明自己到底为什么值得留在这里嘛好那后面呢他开始去做这一连串的探讨去追寻的时候去找出这10天的时候呢一开始不是那么顺利的那我们看第二个句子 In the beginning she believes she is a failure with no real achievements 她呢觉得自己很失败没有真正的成就那第三句就开始随着时间的过往有一些转变咯第三句描述的就是这个转变的过程她发现了什么Her most significant experiences involved love. 原来啊，最值得最有意义的这些经验都跟爱、情感、那家人还有呢个人的成长有关。好， 那第4个句子，请同学特别注意的就是他这一段呢探寻就发现了有几个重要的时刻嘛，包括说收养狗啊，然后呢还有和自己的祖父母呢度过最后的夜晚啊，这一些点点滴滴都让他了解到他的个性里面有一些面向是怎么样 once overshadowed。 好， overshadow 其实就是被什么东西覆盖过去，被掩盖住了。那被什么掩盖呢？ A materialistic lifestyle， 他过去在人间过着的日子其实是相当重视物质主义的。好，再来我们看到第5个句子，那我们前面不是有讲到吗？他发现那些真的特别值得一提的特别有意义的时刻有一个部分就是 personal growth。 那像怎么样的个人成长呢？ Her career in fashion， 她在时尚产业这一份工作 brought her confidence, self-worth and more accomplishments than she had imagined。 原来这样的工作其实带了给她自信、自我价值，那而且呢其实是真的有成就感的。好，那第6个句子我们看到了，他体认到了，那 all days are life-changing or perfect， 并不是呢生命当中并不是都是高光时刻。那真正的人生价值就是我们的小说作者透过这个故事要传达的 meaningful moments， 原来是有意义的时刻 add value to a person's life。 那人生有价值就是因为这些 meaningful moments。 好，那最后一段我们看到这里第4段第3个句子 This heartwarming story encourages readers。 那最终其实作者是希望呢鼓励读者 find the best in themselves， 那找出自己生命当中最重要的特质 cherish the simple loving moments of life， 那多去珍惜简单但是呢充满爱的这些时刻。好，以上就是我们针对第2天课文内容所做的中文讲解。 See you next time.
That's it for today. Thanks for joining us. And if you choose to read this novel, yes, enjoy it, and it will help you improve your English ability. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
And I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.